Welcome, Toastmasters. And I don't see any guests. If someone arrives, we'll welcome them too. Thank you all for coming today to our Success Masters Toastmasters meeting. My name is Kaylin Huffman Brower. Sometimes I go by K.H. Brower. That's my nom de plume when I'm working on YA fiction. My basic role is to keep the meeting moving and on schedule. We've already checked in. It looks like everybody's here. I'm hoping Sandra does make it today. And everyone knows their roles, correct?
Yes.
Looks like we're ready to go. Today's theme, the body doesn't lie, empowering yourself by listening to your own body language. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, and after that we'll introduce the functionaries, and we will, without much further ado, we'll get into our speeches. So I came to my theme, hi Lisa. I came to my theme for a couple of reasons. This week's been particularly challenging for me. I slept in. I missed my Y classes. I was feeling achy because I missed my Y classes, and I think then everything's tough to concentrate. Just very little forward progress on what I think I'm supposed to get done. I have a few empowerment exercises, as we've just tried. So those might be up my sleeve to help me charge up and get her done, right? And I suspect that I need some anchors that remind me to move into that state of mind. Even though I have a little sticky, a post-it note that says do this all the time whenever I feel distracted, I find that there's some very specific physical things in my environment that help me stay there once I get there. I'm very aware that mind and body coexist. So we even started our meeting today with intentional breaths. Those deep intentional breaths reset our blood pressure and our brain waves. That's physiological stuff, right? And simple posture reset is how we begin yoga practice, something I need to do every day, even if I don't make it to the Y. And for me, it's a resistance to a lifetime of poor posture. You know, like I was a bookworm. And then when I hit puberty, I was hiding my breasts. You know, whether flat-chested or big bosomed, girls hide their breasts in that critical time. I was a tall girl. Oh, don't want to be bigger than the boys. Then there's driving. Now there's computer. And oh, gravity. And all these things impinge on the vagus nerve. We need to open our heart chakra. That's one way to think of it. But this vagus nerve, it controls everything. It's really important, our digestive system. And that's another form of our mind, our instinct, our gut. So it's pretty important to open that vagus nerve. So in addition to that, I was reminded this week that we can also go external, not just internal exercises to stand up straight, but we can use props, just like an actor in a play or one of our screenplays. We can use props and costumes to help us take power, take charge. So there's the 3 C's. I love these: cap, cane, and cape. So a cap, you can think of it as a crown, although that might seem a little presumptuous, but you can always put on a hat. We can always put on a hat. So in the summer, why not? And then when you make an entrance, or you need to, I don't know, make a splash, even taking it off creates a little movement, a little moment when I can pitch my story, right? So a cape, let's think about capes. Now, I don't actually own a cape, but I love scarves. And for me, a scarf also is a superpower because I can add a little splash of color, a little joy. Don't you love polka dots? You just can't go wrong with polka dots. And along with that cape, I can get a little bit more formal when I'm in a formal setting, and I can put on a jacket. So it's not really a cape, but even though it's not the 80s anymore, I can add just a little bit here, get a little wider, stand up a little taller, have presence. People listen to me better when I look like this. Isn't that interesting? And as far as a cane goes, now that's interesting. I don't actually have a cane either, although I'm kind of tempted to go get one. The only one I have is a walking stick. Now, a walking stick is really useful in the woods or on hills because you can get purchase and take, more secure steps. But think about it. Remember Xena, Warrior Princess? It's a defensive tool. That's another reason why women take them into the woods, by the way. I don't carry a pistol, just so you know. But yes. Now, it's not really very cityfied. So some of us are in production. Here's a boom pole. I used to carry other kinds of equipment like this. It's sort of the same idea, right? You can always use it as a defensive weapon. So all these superpowers. Basically, what I'm saying is to empower ourselves, think of our bodies. Don't leave it. It's not just our monkey minds that we're talking about. We're talking about those deep breaths. And we're talking about the accessories and the costumes that help us present ourselves in a way that are empowered. The body doesn't lie. You got this. So now that we have our theme today in our minds, I'm going to talk about our two speakers today, Mary McNeith and Wayne Petito. We'll get to them and their speeches shortly. And Jennifer Stockdale, she'll be our table topics master. Hi, Jennifer. And I will introduce briefly our functionaries, and they will each tell us what they're going to do today. Our grammarian is Eugene. And Eugene, can you please repost once again our word of the day for the people who've joined after your last posting, and then tell us what it is you're going to do.
Got to get my mic on here. Okay. This is what I don't like about Zoom is if anybody comes late, I have to keep on reposting because they don't get it. So this is actually the third time I've reposted the word of the day. Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Can you hear me? I hear other people talking, so I was wondering if you can even hear me. Can you? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I will be looking for catchy phrases, interesting quotes, and also questionable grammar as the grammarian. And one of the main things I will be doing is I will be listening for the word of the day, which is solutionist. And solutionist is someone who solves problems or puzzles. A sentence that could be used in is, the Moderns is a solutionist think tank that uses a multidisciplinary collaborative approach to translate socially relevant strategies and environmentally smart designs into solid business opportunities. Boy, is that a mouthful. But anyway, I hope you have an idea what a solutionist is. Okay, thank you very much, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
I have a point of order.
Thank you, Eugene.
Can I have a point of order, please? Eugene, can you be a solutionist and lower your camera so we can see your full face?
You can't see my full face?
I see from the chin up. Lower the camera,
Okay.
please.
Okay, I'm not that important. My background is more important than I am.
Thank you, sir.
Someday I will be gone and the background will remain because it's a feature film. Okay.
Thanks, Eugene. The awe counter today is Andrew. Andrew, thanks for being flexible and changing your role so quickly. Why don't you tell us what you're going to do today?
Greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The purpose of the awe counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. And I'll also listen for filler sounds, including and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase, such as I, or this means this means. At the end of the meeting, I'll report the number of times that each speaker has used these expressions. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Andrew. And our last but not least on functionaries, our timer today is Peter Field. And it's nice to see you back again, Peter. Tell us what you're going to do as timer, please.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As the timer, I will be keeping track of the time for our speakers, our prepared speeches, and our speakers during table topics, and the speech evaluators. I will use a series of background changes. The color green indicates you have, let's see if I can apply it here. There we go. The color green indicates in a prepared speech you have reached the 5-minute mark. Yellow indicates the 6-minute mark, and red indicates the 7-minute mark. During table topics, green is 1 minute, yellow is 1 minute and 30 seconds, and red is 2 minutes. For evaluations, our evaluations are, let's see, 2 minutes for, green for 2 minutes, yellow for 2.5 minutes, and red for 3 minutes. And I think that's about all. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Peter. Our table topics master today is Jennifer Stockton, and our general evaluator is Elizabeth Wang Lee. We'll meet them later in the meeting. Right now, we're going to move on to our prepared speeches. Our first speaker today is Mary. And Mary Emmon McNeith is giving a talk called Fade to Black. She recalls 2 unique experiences of being a protege and then went on to teach others what she learned. She hopes you enjoy Fade to Black.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. In the mid-1990s, when I worked at my hometown bank, I learned a specific and important skill to keep the bank in compliance with the federal government. I moved from the appraisal department to the new compliance department, which consisted of myself and my boss, the new compliance officer. Well, he had the experience being a lawyer, and Mike taught me what the bank needed to do and what we needed to accomplish. We became solutionists, making sure the bank wouldn't be fined again. We created a strategy that worked so well. When he left, I then became the mentor to a few employees to keep track of all the compliance data that banks are required to have. Now, mind you, this was the 1990s, and we fact-checked with paper, then entered the data into our own computer system. By the bank's next audit, we were 100% in the black, meaning no errors from thousands of loan files. Now, going over the bank data had its creative side. Yet when all is done, the most creative time I was a protege is when I was a student and volunteer for the theater. I was the property mistress for my junior college's production of The 5th of July, the lighting operator for the college's show, The Normal Heart, and the lighting operator for the Broadway West production of The Musical Company and the children's production of Thumbelina. All 4 of these productions filled me with excitement and fear. In my senior year of high school, I took a year's worth of drama classes focusing not on acting, but on production. I was happy to be the support of my fellow actors as the student director and gopher. So when I went to the junior college a couple miles away, I eagerly signed up for the theater production class. I became a protege of set construction, set decoration, and production lighting. Years later, that training came in handy when a new group of theater lovers opened up Broadway West, not too far away from my home. After being a patron for many shows, I was given the opportunity to volunteer for a job running the lights for Broadway West's first musical company. Looking back on it now, I'm glad I had the experience of being the lighting operator for my junior college production, as more than a few years had gone by. When I climbed the ladder to the control booth at Broadway West and sat in front of the light control panel, I was overwhelmed with anxiety. So many sliders for each light hanging over the stage, the cues for each light, and each slider for each cue. Oh my goodness, how could I keep track? But no worries, I had talented and thoughtful mentors right there with me. The owners and the recurring actors had many jobs in this little theater, and they showed me the ropes. They were so happy to see a new face sitting behind the lighting panel. I was excited to be there too. After many, many rehearsals, I got the hang of where the lights were over the stage, which light came on for what part of the play, and which switch was for which light. One of my favorite times was when an act came to a close and I slowly moved the dimmer switch to match what the actor was doing and fading to black in perfect timing. I miss that little Broadway West theater because I met so many amazing teachers of telling a visual story. And working those lights is a skill that I wouldn't mind doing again if given the opportunity. Yet, I would need another mentor as my skills are a bit rusty now, but who knows? Maybe one day in the near future at some random little playhouse, you might see me up in the balcony in the light booth, switching on and off the lights and then slowly fading to black. And by the way, I respectfully give a big shout out to my current mentor, Mr. Hal Crosman, for creating the wonderful opportunities for us writers, not to learn just to be a good writer, but to have and be a working one too. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mary. How fun. You realize that's something we share. Well, many moons ago, I was that kind of experience. Many moons ago, I ran lights in the Empty Space Theater. No, wait a minute. The Pioneer Square Theater in Seattle, Washington. So I don't think it even exists anymore. I'm not sure. But it's also just a wonderful reminder that with enough rehearsal and the right kind of guidance, we can learn almost anything, even if it feels overwhelming in the beginning. So thank you for that reminder. I need it kind of daily. And our next speaker is Wayne Petito. Wayne, with the Zen title, Everything is Like Everything. Having an eclectic collection of careers is very useful for a writer. Wayne has such a background and has discovered some interesting similarities in creative arts, science, and operations. He's entitled it, Everything is Like Everything.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Throughout my life, I discovered striking similarities between dissimilar disciplines. My creative education started with Mom teaching me oil painting at an early age. Dad was an accomplished sculptor who designed Foster Grant sunglasses and started the wraparound sunglasses and this campaign right here. You may recognize some of the old actors. Among Dad's many accomplishments was his first 200 years of US presidents that you can see over here on the mantle, but I've chosen one to show you right here, Mr. Jefferson. So Dad showed me how to sculpt in 3D, and Mom taught me how to draw the illusion of 3D in a perspective. Then the Beatles showed me how the 1, 4, 5, and 5/7 chords progressed in tension and dissonance, resolving back to the 1 chord. How interesting. Well, the space age had me studying aerospace engineering, where I got hands-on experience with manufacturing machines, because it's important for engineers to design manufacturable parts. That sounds familiar. I learned structure, but I never considered how structure played into anything more than, say, a bridge, where it begins with an on-ramp onto a long suspension supporting members, resolving back to Earth. Huh, it's kind of like deja vu right there. Well, a college deferment was a foreshadowing that was too easy to ignore while we learned all kinds of cool stuff, like designing on a drawing board, where many rough drafts of increasing complexity and small brainstorming sketches all resulted in a line perfect quality finished vellum to include perspectives. Putting things into perspective. I'm beginning to pick up a theme here. Well, after graduating, I spent the summer of '72 expecting to be drafted any day. But the war was winding down, and in September, I got a call that I had a job designing nose cones in Florida. I hung up the phone and went to check the mail. And what do you know? It really does say, "Greetings from the President of the United States, Richard Milhouse Nixon." That was a major twist. So I joined the Air Force to fly airplanes rather than get killed like one of my high school classmates had already done. And in July of '73, found me off into the wild blue yonder over Thailand in an AC-130 gunship as an infrared operator. In other words, I was the peacenik hippie lieutenant with a 105 howitzer on a killing machine named Spectre. Well, that could have presented a current personal conflict, but I empowered myself to be a solutionist. So since I understood the infrared system and how it worked, I empowered myself by drawing diagrams and briefing the other infrared operators how to fix common problems in flight. This increased mission effectiveness. In other words, effective collaboration improved production. Doesn't that sound familiar? Anyway, fortunately, we only had 1 day of combat, and that's a story for another day. So after that, I navigated cargo planes across the North Atlantic. And that was before satellite navigation, and we still used a sextant. Calculating the altitudes and azimuths of stars was like so many of the things I had done before. So near the end of my commitment, I studied music theory. And I got into the Boston Conservatory Music, and I majored in composition and classical guitar. Some of my newfound 18-year-old friends came from that high school for the performing arts in New York, you know, the famous one from Fame. Well, I never worked so hard in my life, nor enjoyed it more. I ran out of money, I joined the reserves, I got married over the Christmas break. By graduation, we were expecting, and I needed a job. I found a job. I found one at U.S. Army Natick Labs, where my father had been contracted to use the data they collected from 7,000 heads to form these head sculptures, head forms they call them. And here's a medium-sized one. And who knew that art would be so useful for engineering? Oh, wait, Da Vinci did. Well, I used the GI Bill and studied electrical engineering and got a job at EG&G in Salem, which was designing equipment to manufacture nuclear triggers. But nuclear weapons suddenly went out of style, which was great, except I was unemployed again with a wife and a young child. So off I went into the wild blue gray of King Khalid military city in Saudi Arabia, where I commanded airlift operations to return all the troops from Gulf War I. It was just like conducting an orchestra, except, you know, all the people did everything and I just coordinated them. I got to command airfields in some of the most interesting places like Mogadishu, Port-au-Prince, and Split Aerodrome in Croatia. And I even surveyed the airfield in Sarajevo, where I wrote a poem called Holes. After a divorce, I took a full-time position as the director of current operations at Air Force Reserve Headquarters in Georgia. There, I married my Taekwondo instructor, grateful to find out that not everything is like the previous thing. Another daughter later and a promotion to colonel, I got a job as a reserve advisor to the Air Expedition Force Center in Virginia, where Sandy opened Petito's Black Belt Academy. The AAF Center overhauled the entire system for how the Air Force deployed their operations overseas. I like the design systems, and just in time for Gulf War II. But I retired, and I helped Sandy open 2 more Taekwondo schools, because after all, running operations is like running operations. With our first lease running out in 2005, we built an 18,200 square foot shopping center for our school, along with 8 more units, because why not? When a 3-unit restaurant walked out on his lease, we built a laser tag facility and themed it out ourselves, because nobody could paint murals better than we could. So that business became so successful that other tenants left, and including our own Taekwondo school, and we filled the entire building with bumper cars, blacklight mini golf, soccer pool. We learned styrofoam hot wire sculpting and designed and built our own blacklight mini golf props, coating them with Line-X and then painting them. And that's like prop design. I also built 3 soccer pool tables. Long story short, the economy and 33% increase in admissions tax killed our narrow profit margin, and we liquidated everything before losing everything. Finally, I had time to do what I've always wanted to do and become everything is like everything. So I found that my eclectic collection of previous careers is an invaluable source to draw from. I've been accused of being a Jeffersonian man, but I found screenplay writing to be the best way to resolve the differences between head and heart. So thank you all, and thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wayne, how wonderful. You've presented yourself as a solutionist. We're so surprised. It's wonderful to hear about your eclectic career.
Thank you.
And now that we're done with our prepared speeches today, we're going to move on to table topics. And that is Jennifer Stockdale. You're our table topics master today. Please let everybody know what we'll be doing with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So today I will be your table topics master. And we heard some fabulous speeches. Wayne, that was great. I loved your use of props. But the table topics gives people who do not have prepared speeches the opportunity to speak. This gives us the opportunity to think on our toes, do some impromptu speaking. And as screenwriters, we may have this opportunity at any given time. We could meet a producer on an elevator, right? We all know the elevator pitch, and we may have to pitch our movie at that point. So, trying to be a solutionist for you, I have come up with a elevator pitch activity for us to do today for table topics. So I am going to share my screen, which has a list of 2 different movies, and I have some balls here. I'm going to randomly find 2 different movies, and I'm going to ask you guys to do a mashup of those 2 movies. Now, I don't want you to do come up with your own movie. This movie meets this movie. I want you to do an actual mashup of the 2 movies. And if you're not familiar with the movie that you get assigned, I have a cheat sheet of the log lines from the movie, so I can give you the log lines. So I am just gonna put this back here. So I have a little bingo things. So I'm gonna do this first one. Oh, let me actually share my screen first, sorry. My husband told me after I told him this whole thing, he said, you should have just rolled dice. And I was like, yeah, that probably would have been easier. All right. So I have B10. So if you can look up there and find B10 is Saving Private Ryan. And 072 is Titanic. So can anybody do a mashup of Saving Private Ryan and Titanic? Come on, you get in an elevator, you may have to do this. Well, maybe not this exactly, but. Oh no, no volunteers? Am I gonna have to call on somebody? Is that a terrible combination?
The worst combinations are the best.
Well, there you go. How about Adelina?
Okay, this hits me with a ton of surprise. Bring the two of them together. The only thing I can think of is, can Jack save Ryan, Private Ryan, from the Titanic? Okay, back to you.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. So next we have I-16, which is Pulp Fiction, and 073, which is E.T. So Pulp Fiction meets E.T.
Oh,
All right, who said, oh my God? I'm calling on you because Wayne, Wayne, you did a speech. I shouldn't call on you.
that's okay. Saving Private, no, which was it?
It's Pulp Fiction and, was it E.T.?
And E.T. E.T.'s
And
great.
E.T..
I love E.T. It's one of my favorites. But I'm going to ask you to read the log line to Pulp Fiction. It's been so long.
Okay, so the log line for Pulp Fiction is, oh goodness. Okay, so the lives of two mob hitmen, a boxer, a gangster's wife, and a pair of diner bandits intertwine in 4 tales of violence and redemption.
Oh, this should be easy. And then a spaceship comes down. Amid a violent inner city gang war, what do you call it? A star coming in, a shooting star, a large shooting star is seen in the sky that stops everyone. Even more so when they see it turn, come, and skid down the city street, and a little green man comes out. From there, both sides decide this thing must be dangerous. However, what they don't count on is that this thing is infinitely clever. If you really want to see how this little green man handles the situation, I'm afraid you're going to have to ask me for the script.
Great way to end that. Perfect.
And be good.
All right. So next we have B15, which is Star Wars. And G57, which is Up. So Star Wars meets Up. All right. I'm going to have to be mean and call on somebody. How about you, Julia?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. So my story came when I became widowed a couple of years ago, and my husband died, and I realized that the dream trip that we had always wanted to take to Machu Picchu was never going to happen. And I began having dreams about him and planning what we were going to do. And suddenly suddenly he came to me in a dream and took me on a spaceship to battle the warriors in another universe. Okay, wait, let me get off this elevator, and then I'm going to get back on the elevator with another producer. Okay, let me try again. Hi. So I was so sad when my husband died, but I knew he wouldn't want me to just never take the trip of a lifetime. So I got onto a spaceship with a couple of billionaires. I snuck on, and when we had trouble with the engine of the spaceship, we ended up in another universe fighting the forces of evil. This film is based on my personal experience. It's really drawn from true events. And what happens during the movie is not as important as what happens at the end of the movie, which is that the main character finds resolution in her grief, reunites through different worlds with her deceased spouse, and saves the universe. I would love to send you the script. Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master.
Awesome, good job. All right, so I think maybe one more. So we have 118, which is Rocky. And Rocky mashed up with G49, which is The Wizard of Oz. So Rocky meets The Wizard of Oz. Jim Kearney, can I pick on you? You look like you need to be picked on over there.
You can certainly pick on me, but I don't know how the hell I'm going to get this one going.
Oh, it's... So Rocky meets The Wizard of Oz.
Rocky meets the Wizard of Oz. You have this female boxer who's in a strange land, going off trying to find her way home. And she has no idea how to go about doing it. In her dreams, she sees this golden road that leads off into the sunset. When she wakes up, she begins to hunt for it. Follow the yellow brick road. Everyone is talking to her. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. And so she goes off hunting, looking for this road. Along the way, there are all these antagonists that are about her. Monkeys trying to steal her away. And she has to take all her boxing skills and get out there and start fighting them off in order to keep going forward. Eventually, she gets there and finds out that all she had to do was click her heels together and say, oh, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And poof, she wakes up back in her bed. Back to you, Madam Tabletop.
Nice, great job, excellent. All right, is that all we have time for? Or do we have time for one more?
I think you have time for one more.
Okay, awesome. All right, so like my husband said, this would have been much quicker with dice. All right, so I think that was B3. So B3 is Reservoir Dogs. And Reservoir Dogs mashed up with G58, which is It's a Wonderful Life. So Reservoir Dogs meets It's a Wonderful Life. Oh, come on. I'm going to be mean again. I see Elizabeth smiling over there. Come on, Elizabeth.
Aren't those two already the same movie?
Yeah, they're the same movie. Okay, thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. Can you just give me the Reservoir Dogs log line again, please?
Yes, I can. When a simple jewelry heist goes terribly wrong, the surviving criminals begin to suspect that one of them is a police informant.
Okay, and I can't remember the name. Well, I'll just give it a name.
Okay.
In a guy is, his bank is going, is getting, the family bank is suffering from a depression because there's a run on the bank and everybody's pulling their cash out. So what does the owner of the bank do? He gets together with a bunch of guys and he robs a series of jewelry stores and whatever. And he learns that in these robberies, after he steals from other people, he realizes that he's actually really stealing from the very people who are stealing from him, or taking the money away from him. And this is where he has to reconcile his himself, whether he can turn this around and save his bank and confront the concept of stealing from others when in fact you're stealing from yourself. That remains to be seen. So we'll see if our bank owner can save his family and his society and his community. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Great job, Elizabeth. All right, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Great job. I know that was tough. Tough, but that's very good to exercise those pitching muscles. So we all need that. So and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jennifer. What a fun way to have table topics today. And everybody who jumped in, even if you were tagged because you did not volunteer. What courage. Yes, we get to practice our storytelling skills on the fly. So the final portion of our meeting is the evaluation section. And today, leading that, Elizabeth Langley. And I'm going to have Elizabeth talk about how this will run. Take it away, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and Success Masters. So I'm the general evaluator today, and I will be observing to ensure that the meeting is conducted properly, and maybe we'll discover together a solutionist among us. I will lead the evaluation segment of the meeting and provide a general evaluation of the meeting at the end. And that's evaluation of how it's been run, more format than content. But I'll sneak in a little content. Anyway, let's get to our evaluators. Our very first one is Adelina Liang. She is going to evaluate Mary McNeith's speech titled Fade to Black. Let's welcome Adelina Liang.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'm Adelina Liang, and I have the pleasure of evaluate Mary's speech, Fade to Black. It's a very interesting title. And then more interesting is that Mary combined three seemingly unrelated skills into a very interesting terms, specifically, exclusively for the screenwriters. And she was started with as a lighting operator. Started as a bank compliance officer, and then added the skill of lighting operator. And then at the end, she's also trained as a screenwriter. And these are the terms are combining three different skills. And then that means bring things to perfect closure. And I think the title is very interesting. And adding those three skills together is very smart, very intelligent. I like Mary's presentation. It's very clear, and she has a variety of vocal skills, tones. And then the eye contact is absolutely great. And I believe she's aware of us, even though we're on the Zoom. The only thing that, if I may suggest, is to add more gesture, use her hands, okay? And this is something we all need to be trained to become very comfortable with it. If there's anything challenging for Mary is to do more or less the same thing, combining very interesting skills into a special terms. Fade out. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very, very much, Adelina. That was very, you did a great job of the sandwich evaluation. So thank you very much. And next is evaluator number 2, Sandra Nellis. And she will be evaluating for Wayne Petito's speech, Everything is Like Everything. Let's welcome Sandra.
Sandra, were you here from the beginning of this speech? Because we also asked Julia to step in with the evaluation. I know you.
No, I have internet problems and I had problems getting in Zoom. I missed the very beginning. So if Julia will probably do a better job than I can if she's prepared. If not, I could give what I've caught.
I did. Yeah, I did the evaluation. Sorry, I didn't see you come in, Sandra, so I'm happy to do it.
If you could, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Okay. Sorry about that. I thought
Okay.
Sandra caught the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Wayne, you are the quintessential solutionist. Your speech was wonderful. Thank you for delivering it today. You started with a great, intriguing title, Everything is Like Everything. I thought the title was Zen-like and also full of promise. It promised me some intellectual interest, and it also promised me some good humor, and you really delivered those both in your speech. I love your first line. It was almost like a thesis statement in your speech about finding similarities in everything from a very young age. And then from your second line on, wow, what an incredible career you've had. Your career has very much not been like everything or like anybody else's. It is very distinctive and one of a kind and fascinating. You used a lot of wonderful phrases to draw things together. To draw things together as you spoke, such as putting things in perspective, effective collaboration. You used some humor, grateful to find out when you talked about your second wife that not everything is like everything. So that was a nice little joke there. And so I was able to follow your speech, and and get your point as you were bringing together so many different descriptions of your career. You are a natural speaker. You have this great, compelling conversational tone. I imagine you as somebody who could walk into a boardroom and sit down and command everybody's attention. Your pacing is great. I feel like you could teach public speaking classes. That strength for me for this speech was also an area for improvement. Your tone was so consistent and you spoke with such authority that I wasn't able to really tell from your tone as I was listening to the speech what were the most important parts to pay attention to, where the heart was. I found myself not having that, oh, aha moment. This is why he's telling me this, until the very end. And your speech was, in a way, your tone was so polished that I felt a little bit more emotionally distanced from your talk than I wanted to. At the end, I had that aha moment and I was very relieved when you said you had found screenwriting as a way to bring together all these talents and all these gifts. And I thought, oh, aha. And I wonder if you might have brought that somehow earlier on in your speech, because I was really interested in all the episodes, but wasn't getting to the heart until that moment. I really liked your comment about bridging head and heart and appreciated that as an ending. That was something I could hold on to. My favorite part of your speech, there were so many favorite parts of your speech, but I think my favorite part was the moment where you talked about being a peacenik hippie or some phrase like that, and you were commanding an exercise.
Gunship.
Thank you. Gunship. And that was similar to conducting an orchestra. Somehow that incredible irony of both you as a personality and the kinds of jobs that you did really hit home. So that was absolutely my favorite part. So thank you very much for this talk. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Julia. That was an astute evaluation. Thanks for jumping in. And sorry, I thought Sandra had covered it, but okay, I'm glad that you covered it too. And okay, so let's get to our functionaries. Let's start with our counter, Andrew Kelm. Please welcome Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The Oz.
Excuse me, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. The Oz that I noticed, or the things that I noticed, I'll just go through them. There's one for me. So Peter, you had 4 Oz. Kaylin, 2 Oz, 1 4 so's, 2 ands, and 1 repetition of a little word. Wayne, God, I throw in an every time I get started there. Wayne, 3 Oz, 1 That's it. Jennifer, 2 Oz and 2 and 1 so and 1 repetition of a little word. Elizabeth, 7 Oz, 3 Adelina, 8 Oz, 1 Sandra, a couple of repetitions of small words, 3 I counted. Julia, 1 7 2 so's, and 5 repetitions of small words. And that's all I counted. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Nothing like being the guy who drops the gauntlet. All right, the next person we're going to go to is the timer, Peter Rayfield. Let's welcome Peter.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. For our prepared speeches, Mary's speech time was 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Wayne's speech, Everything is Like Everything, was 8 minutes and 15 seconds. The evaluations of the prepared speeches, we had Adelina's Adelina's evaluation was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. And Julia's evaluation was 3 minutes and 43 seconds. For table topics, Adelina spoke first at 33 seconds. Wayne was second at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Julia was 1 minute and 42 seconds. Jim Kearney was 1 minute and 26 seconds. And Elizabeth, 1 minute and 56 seconds. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Peter. That was good timing. All right, next is our grammarian, Eugene Mandelkorn. Let's welcome Eugene.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Our remember the names, General Evaluator, Madam General Evaluator. Thank you. Okay, I'll start out with the word of the day and who used it. The word of the day was solutionist, and that was used by Jim Kearney. It was used by Mary Ammon McNeith. It was used by Kellen Huffman Brower. It was used by Wayne Petito. It was used by Elizabeth Wayne Lee, and it was used by Julia Bushi. If I pronounce, please forgive me if I pronounced any of your names improperly. I would want to learn how to properly pronounce them. But anyway, if I missed any of you that used solutionist, I really apologize. But it's because you used it in such a way that I didn't even notice. It just flowed right with your speech or your presentation. Okay, and as far as the catchy phrases and interesting quotes, I noticed that Toastmaster Kayleen Huffman Brower used "oh gravity." The way she used it, it attracted my attention. She used cap, cane, and cape, which I thought was very interesting, and she elaborated upon that. And then now I wondered, when she used the word walking cane and how it's used. When she said walking cane, I was thinking, oh, just using it to help you walk. And then she described it as a weapon and everything it could be used for. So I thought that was very interesting. Now, let's see, Mary, the first speaker, Mary Ammon McNeith, used the phrase property mistress, which of course is a rephrasing of property master. And I thought that was interesting. I like that. Let's see, Judas. Oh wait, no, Judas wasn't there today. Wayne Petito used the phrase wild blue gray, which I thought was very interesting. Illusion of 3D and head forms. So I thought those were all very interesting phrases. And I put in the comments, I thought it was very interesting how he described the building of it was like, I guess, an entire mall or something. I used the word buildings in a very unusual way. And then I remember that Julia Bocci used the phrase bridging head and heart. And that she was referring to another phrase that Wayne used that I didn't catch. So that was very interesting. So those were some of the nice, interesting phrases I heard. As far as questionable grammar, I really didn't hear any. There were, and especially people when, got a little flustered with some of the, I guess, presentations that were done in the table topics, but they never said anything objectionable. But they did get a little, upset. So I'm thinking that's pretty much it. I thought actually some very interesting grammar used. So thank you very much, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Eugene. Thanks for pointing out all that stuff to us so that we can pay attention to all the interesting phrases that we've used, and encouraging people to use the word solutionist, which is a great, makes you think about how it's a one of those words that you have to really work on fitting it in to your into your speeches, but in essence, it's actually what we do in our scripts. So anyway, now is the time for my evaluation of the entire process. And I would say, I'll just start with the Toastmaster did a great job of providing the theme and background to the theme and the oversight of the entire proceedings. The speeches were all great. Everybody established used a format and established a theme, provided a hook, and then wrapped it up nicely. So that was great. And then the evaluators both did the sandwich method, which we love, and we're all very, you guys listened carefully and provide thoughtful remarks. And then the functionaries all seemed to be very comfortable in their roles, which is great. So there was no kind of, not even except me. And then the last thing is, the table topics is what a challenge. It was a mind-bending, really mind-bending thing, a project. Like I would say, I'm stuck with my German, mind-bending way of playing with two sets of different ideas and forcing us to really think. So that was great. And then finally, Jim had suggested that for one thing, for improvement, just as an order of procedure for us, is that so that we know what each person is doing, is when you come in and when you come into the room, to the Zoom room, if you can put your role by your name so that we know, or so you start with a role and then dash your name. That way everybody knows what you're doing, so that we're not asking each other, like what's going on. So that way it moves smoother. That's about it. I think that we had a great meeting. It started on time, and it's faster today because we had less speeches, but I think it's a great running smooth machine right now. And I'm grateful to be able to have been your general evaluator. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Elizabeth. You've done a fabulous job doing your general evaluator role. And what else went well? I always hear so much insight and come away charged. So I would just like to invite all of us, especially me, to stay empowered this week and find those anchors, whether they're from the inside or from the outside, where we can add them on and remember how to stay empowered in the moment and the way we present to other people. And with that, I appreciate your help. And back to you, Jim Kearney.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording first.